All right, good evening, everybody. We're going to get started. If you want to go ahead and take your seats. I'm so excited to get the opportunity to welcome all of you to my home, Facebook. How many of you are excited to be here tonight? Whoop, whoop. So funny enough, I work for Facebook, but I actually don't live in New York. So I flew in today from Florida to be here with you all tonight. I bring the warmth and sunshine and blue skies with me, and I really feel like this is going to be a really exciting event tonight. So before I hop into my very brief remarks, I wanted to first just recognize someone who I think truly has done an incredible job, because we're all here tonight because of one person who has been an incredible visionary and someone who I have grown to admire and call a friend, and that is Rebecca. Rebecca, where are you? Yes, come here. Give her a hand, guys. She has done so much work.
Thanks. All of you.
Yes, and all of you too. But I just wanted to certainly say thank you so much for being here. Absolutely. So my name is Nona Jones, and I have the just awesome pleasure and privilege of serving as a strategic partner manager for Facebook. And that title may sound really bizarre, but what it ultimately means is that I get the great opportunity of working with incredible organizations to help them build community on our platform. And I'll talk to you a little bit about what that means in just a second. But let's think about this. Why are we here tonight? Why are we here? I mean, the food, yes. The DJ, yes. We're going to have fun. But there's one reason why we're here tonight. And that is because teens can change the world. How many of you believe that? Teens can change the world, right? So we see this every day. And I feel like there's a very relevant example of that happening right now within our country. If you think about it, Valentine's Day of this year was supposed to be a day of love and reflecting on the power of compassion. And yet, someone decided to use that day to wreak havoc on not only the lives that were lost, but the lives that have been touched by that loss. And many people would think that that day was tragic, and that was the end of the story, right? But it wasn't the end of the story. Because as tragic as that day was and will always be in our memory, what we know is out of those ashes has been born a movement. And it's a movement that's not led by just politicians, not led by adults. It's a movement that is led by teens who have a vision for the world that includes safety. It includes the ability to go to school and not have to fear for your life. And they have decided to raise up a movement. And they've done this not only with their friends and their schoolmates, but they've done this on our platform. What we have seen at Facebook has been an incredible galvanization of teens across our platform who have decided we're going to build a community of teen leaders who want to see a different world. And that's why I said teens can change the world. Because you have the attention of not only leaders in this nation, but leaders around the world who recognize that your voice deserves to be heard. And if you think about it, when you look across the platform, the March for Our Lives is a movement. It's a national movement, but it's a movement that has local activation. There are teens in cities all around our country who have decided that they're going to take back their schools. They're going to take back their learning. They're going to take back what belongs to them. And I'm so privileged to know that every single one of you in this room has the capacity to do exactly that, because you are leaders. So what does this mean for Facebook? Why are we here at Facebook specifically? Well, last June, Mark Zuckerberg changed the mission of our company. For 10 years of our existence, our mission was to make the world more open and connected. But the question became, make the world more open and connected for what purpose? This is the purpose. It's to give people the power to build community and bring the world closer together. Which raises the question, well, what exactly is community then? Well, we see community here tonight because community is fundamentally two things. It's a collection of people that receive a sense of belonging, a sense of connection, and a feeling of safety while giving trust and investment over time. That's what the Greenhouse Initiative is. A community of teens who are giving support to one another and your ideas and your vision for the future, while also receiving the trust that you need and the investment from adults who care about the vision you have for the world. You're building community. And the 100 teens that are in this room tonight, if you were to invite 10 of your friends to this collaborative, that would be 1,000 teens across New York City making a change. And I believe you can do that. So in my last couple of minutes, I wanted to just mention a few things to you. We at Facebook are totally committed to not only helping you build community on our platform through our products, but we want to empower leaders around the world with the tools, the training, and the investment that they need to be successful. Because what we know is when leaders are successful, the people who follow them become successful. So we're making a very important and strategic investment and community leaders. And I want to tell you about this today. We have a Facebook community leadership program that was actually just announced in Europe a couple of weeks back, where we made a bold stand as a company and said it's time for the people who care about the next generation of leadership to have the tools and the investment that you need to bring your ideas and vision to life. And so there's a few components to this program that I wanted to let you know about. One, we're providing funding, training, and support to enable extraordinary leaders to advance specific initiatives. We're also providing 5 community leaders with a residential opportunity. Now, these will be adults, but I'm telling you this so that you have the seed planted in your mind. The 5 community leaders that have extraordinary ideas will get $1 million each to advance their idea for social change. And there will be 100 community fellowships of $50,000 each. This is so important for you to understand because I want you to be inspired for what you can do in the future. As a company, we're investing in leadership because leadership matters. Leadership is what changes society. And that's why you're here tonight, because we believe in your capacity to lead. So what I would encourage you to do is, as you're thinking about what you want to do in this world, what you want to be in this world, I want you to consider being a professional community leader, a community entrepreneur, a social innovator. That's what we need to solve the most difficult challenges facing our nation and our world. So I'm so glad that you're with us tonight. I know you're going to have an incredible time. You're going to hear from some amazing panelists. And then we're going to have a dance party at the end. And I don't know about you, but that's probably what I'm looking forward to the most. So welcome to Facebook, guys. And I'm so glad that you decided to spend some time with us this evening. Have fun.
How's everyone doing now? I didn't hear as loud of a cheer at the beginning when Nona was up, so can I hear a little bit more? Great. So exciting to see all of your faces here. I see a lot of our engaged Greenhouse Fellows. I see a lot of new friends. And so I welcome all of you here. My name is Rebecca Schumer, and I am the founder of the Greenhouse. And I attribute that not just to myself, but to all the teens in this room and all the really cool social innovator adults in this room who have helped bring this to life. So do you guys raise your hand if you know a little bit about the Greenhouse, right? But if you could tell someone the mission statement of the Greenhouse, or you could pitch the Greenhouse to someone else, raise your hand. All right, so that means that we're really at the very beginning, right? Because the Greenhouse has only been up and running for 5 months, and it was created in 9 months from scratch. So this is the time when I want to invest in all of you to think about what the Greenhouse means for the world and what it means to you. Because the Greenhouse is not about doing something because our parents want us to do it, or getting involved in a Jewish activity because we get pressure from our grandmother to do that. This is actually supposed to be a skills building platform for you to help you think about what you want to be and what you want to do in the world, and to actually position you to have the skills that will make that possible, right? So by skills, I mean, raise your hand if you know what a prototype means. All right, cool. So a fair amount of you know what a prototype is. Raise your hand if you know how to build a prototype. All right, so there we go. You know what a prototype is, right? Which is something that you create to start off. It's a solution to some sort of problem or some sort of challenge or a gap in the market that you've identified, and you build something to plug up that hole that you found, right? But it's not just an idea that makes you visionary, that makes you successful, or that makes you feel fulfilled. It's actually the ability to build the prototype, whether it's something super high tech like an app or a website, or whether it's super low tech like a marketing campaign that you put on billboards across the city, or it's something as simple as organizing an event for your friends to raise money for a cause, right? Your prototypes are what are going to make the greenhouse successful. So, because most of you in the room could not, let's say, articulate what the greenhouse is, which is totally cool. I articulate it differently every day. But the greenhouse was founded at this intersection of Jewish identity and values and culture. You don't have to be Jewish to participate with us. We're a totally inclusive and diverse community. But it meets at the intersection of Jewish identity and community and social innovation. And so my hypothesis is that if we can make those connections real for you, we can have you engage with Jewish adults who are creating the products and services that are changing the world, whether it's how you date, or whether it's where you source your food from, or whether it's how you help your community with a problem. That's what the greenhouse is attempting to do, is to give you those connections. But in addition to that, the greenhouse is all about helping you recognize that you are all already resources. So I'm not here to say that our adults are here to teach you, and that's how you're going to be successful. You are all already resources. You have resources. It may not be money, but you have a lot of skills and access to social media communities and educational circles that adults don't have, right? How can we invest in that and you as resources help you build a network of like-minded peers that can not just help you now build the prototype of your dreams the greenhouse could then invest $100 or $10,000 or $1 million, depending upon how we decide to scale the incubator. But what if you actually had the opportunity to build that and put it into the real world, right? So this is my charge to you. The greenhouse is successful if you are all part of my vision to cultivate the next generation of social innovators. And it's not going to happen with one-on-one interaction only. It's not going to happen when you're just sitting with an adult. It's going to happen when you guys all participate in our social impact lab programs, which are 4 to 6 month experiences where you actually learn about innovations happening in the world around a particular challenge, and you work with us through a process of field scanning and research. You actually work with us to identify a particular solution that you want to build. Again, high tech, low tech, and then we work with you to build that prototype, and you submit that to the incubator, and based on how the incubator is functioning, you can join a boot camp that we're running, you get access to financing and resources, and to business mentorship, and to mentorship from other social innovators that have come before you. So think about participating in one of our social impact labs. It's an awesome college resume builder. It's an awesome way to get skills that I promise your schools are not teaching. And it's a great way to think about who and what you might want to be in the world outside of a very traditional career path. The other thing I just want to announce quickly before I hand it over is I want to thank some amazing partners that the Greenhouse has tonight. So I really want to thank Facebook. Facebook selected the Greenhouse out of a whole plethora of community organizations across the country. We are one of, I think, 13 or 15 youth-driven community of faith social impact organizations, and so we're really proud to be representing the Jewish community and also, again, the next generation in general. I want to give a shout out to our amazing production team and digital agency, Coalition, and everyone who's here from Coalition. And we are using some of the most cutting-edge technology that exists to empower all of you to communicate with each other and with us as we build our program. So I want to thank Avocado, which is our mass texting platform, and the Bosco, which is creating amazing GIF photo booths in the back. And lastly, we have 3 programs coming up. I encourage all of you tonight to check them out and sign up. They're going to fill. We have a one-day escape the room like challenge focused on #MeToo being hosted by a professional from the UN. That's happening on March 25th. And we have an event focused on food, and not just hunger, but food generally speaking, and the group's going to determine what prototype they build, and that's being hosted by 2 unbelievably hip chefs. So if either of those are of interest to you, that's on April 22nd. Sign up before they're full, and we're finally, before I hand it over, we are actually running our second social impact lab that involves travel. So we're going to be heading in June 21st to the 28th to Portland. There'll also be limited spots to go, and we're going to be engaging with the local Jewish community in Portland and with the broader social innovation community in Portland, both in the city and in the mountainous, beautiful area of Greater Portland. So make sure you grab a spot if you're interested. Finally, because I lied before, but finally, make sure if you're tweeting or you're Instagramming or you're Facebooking tonight that you use our hashtag Greenhouse Impact. Make sure to share with your friends that we're live streaming tonight on our Facebook page and on the Validation Project's Facebook page, which you're about to learn about. So with that, I'm going to stop talking, and I'm going to hand it over to Darren, who is our host for the evening.
Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Darren Karp. I actually came through this through Coalition, so thank you Coalition, thank you Greenhouse for having me. Just give you a little background on who I am. I work at Bravo right now for a guy named Andy Cohen. I'm his assistant. I'm also chief of staff of our production company together. Thank you. It's not me, but thank you. I'll let him know. And I host a lot of things on Bravo. I actually have my own podcast on Oxygen, so I'm all in it with social impact and everything going on. We're really excited that you guys have here. Hi to everyone out there and all the live audiences. I wanted to bring up the panel right now so they can introduce themselves. We're going to do a little trivia, and I need you guys to volunteer to throw darts at this board right here, because that's how I'm going to ask them the trivia questions that will stump them. So get excited about that. I need someone with good aim. I'll need 9 volunteers. The panel should come up, though, and come sit, and we can get this thing going. Thank you guys for being here. Give them a round of applause. Come on. Does everyone have a mic? Do we need more mics? Can we pass them around if we don't? All right. How good looking is this panel tonight, guys? Great looking panel. It's so good. They coordinated their outfits. I just wanted to go down the line basically, guys, and why are you up here as a panelist? Let's start down there.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me. My name is David Yaris. I do 2 things in life, but why I'm up here as a panelist, I believe, is because of a project called J-Swipe. I started about 4 years ago what is now the largest Jewish dating app. We have about 1 million users around the world, and it's spreading lots of love.
Love it. Down the list.
Hi, I'm Gila Raz Harris, and I'm the founder of Coalition. We are very excited because we're a Greenhouse partner and supporting their incredible mission through digital storytelling and content that we're producing that hopefully will feature a lot of you on your trips and on your activities and on your endeavors. And we're a coalition of creatives that also has an amplification network that can target incredible audiences around the country and around the world to deliver beautiful stories from founders and organizations and companies doing great things.
Beautiful. Next.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. My name is Yaron Schwartz. I'm here tonight because I work for the Tent Foundation, which is the personal foundation of the CEO of Chobani Yogurt, if you've had that before. And we're focused on mobilizing the private sector to address the global refugee crisis. And I also do a lot of community organizing work in the Jewish community.
Hi, everyone. My name's Melissa Herman. I run curation for the Nation's Well Council, which is a really special community of leaders and influencers from all over the country who come together from the private sector, public sector, all walks of life to really be able to accelerate the ideas that are working to solve for critical social issues that we face.
Hi, everyone. I'm Adina Phillips. I am an independent organizational consultant and executive coach, and I work with organizations that are going through, and people that are going through major changes, making big decisions, seeking big culture shifts. And I think the other hat I wear here tonight is that I am a lay leader at many Jewish organizations, and I have helped build the young leadership for a couple of national Jewish organizations.
Hi guys, my name is Val. I'm a college student at Muhlenberg College, and I'm also the founder and CEO of the Validation Project, which works with teenagers like you guys that are passionate about social justice, and we provide mentoring and we put curriculum in schools to talk about kindness.
Hi everyone, I'm David. I'm a marketing student. I go to the University of Maryland, but I'm originally from Westchester. And I'm here because I am an entrepreneur. I started my own entertainment company when I was 7, but around the middle of high school, I started to switch my platform to switch towards kind of LGBT activism. And really the Jewish community has kind of helped me get there.
I wish you were more motivated. You're only 7 years old. Starting something's a little late in the game. All right, guys, I need a volunteer to throw a dart. You're already, man. I love it. First up, let's do it. Do you have the darts anywhere? Amazing. Give him one. All right, man. This is big. Stand behind this crack in the floor here, and I'm gonna need you to aim at one of those questions. So we can, no. Go. Don't hit the panelists now. Just avoid that. Go. That's a sad face. We're gonna go again. Go again. Go again. Go in. It needs. You got it. You got it. We got 9 questions and 12 balloons, but you got the aim, so we're totally fine. Oh! I don't know why there's 3 sad faces. You got all of them. Now one of them's going to be a question. Did you plan that? My God. Come on now. Please. Beautiful. Question 9. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Okay, panel. Here's for you. If you guys need a lifeline from the audience, I understand. Excuse me. How many regular season games for the NBA are there? A, 82, B, 160, C, 90, or D, 110? Your own's got this.
I think it's 82.
That is correct! Right. He's going to start us off with the first question. What is your mission statement, and why is a mission statement important?
I'm going to take the second half first, and then I'll go into mine. I think a mission statement is really important because it's the way that you present, it's the way that you brand yourself, and so you really want, when you're meeting somebody, particularly for the first time, you want to be able to tell them your story, tell them your narrative, and find mutual points of connection. So my story has really been about mobilizing the business community to do good, and so I worked for the private sector for many years, and now I'm in this foundation that is focused on bringing together lots of different companies of various sizes to do good to support refugees. And so I think being able to do that in a really succinct fashion is an important way of presenting yourself to a new audience.
I love it. Valerie, what do you have to add to that?
I think also a mission statement's important because it tells people what you're passionate about and also how they can be involved with that passion. And the Validation Project's mission statement is that we work with 6,000 teenagers in 105 countries, and we provide them with mentoring and social justice curriculum. And we also make sure that the top pressing issues that you guys are reading about on the news are talked about in your classrooms.
And Hila?
I think both of them are nonprofits. I think today, any startup, any individual, any large organization, even what Nona said with Facebook's new mission statement, I think it's what you stand for and what you convey, and then also how you attract the audiences, your clients, and the community that come to you. So I always think about it from a storytelling lens, but yes.
Should you lead with a mission statement anytime you're trying to inspire somebody of what it is? You know, how do you kind of incorporate that into hiring employees and telling people about what you guys do?
Yeah, I think it's about how you carry yourself, and I think when it comes to hiring or working with partners or really with any individual, it's kind of a commonality and a thread and kind of an extension of what weaves people in to want to be part of what you're doing.
Awesome. And feel free, panelists, to jump in at any time if you want to add. I need another volunteer for a dart. Got this guy. Guy over there, like it, like it. Come on up here, show your muscles. Let's go. Oh, you're standing far back. Oh my God. All right, stand closer. There we go. Woo! So easy. Question 4. Panelists, what is the longest running scripted primetime television series in the United States? A, Law and Order. David, you look like you're ready to answer. Do you not even want
I'm
to?
just playing with the microphone.
Okay. You look confident. B, South Park. C, The Simpsons. Or D, Gunsmoke.
Okay, I am going to be confident.
Okay, David's got it.
I think it's The Simpsons.
Correct! Awesome. Good job. Good job. These are. Here's a very important question for you, David.
Great.
Who or what inspires you?
Okay, this is like my favorite question because I think when people think about inspiration, they're always thinking about long term. Someone inspired me to do this now, and in like 10 years, that's gonna create like a huge foundation, or I'm gonna be this in 10 years. But I think inspiration can be short lived and it can be in the moment. And so for me, something that inspires me is the idea that all you have to do is just use a few simple words and you can instantly change someone's day upside down. My inspiration is really using my sentences or even greeting someone. And obviously we're doing this whenever we are being an activist or whenever we're trying to promote ourselves. But really it's anytime you walk down the hallway in school or when you ultimately become a full-time professional. You walk down, you say hi to someone, you smile, you tell them they look great, and their whole day is flipped upside down. And that motivates me, the fact that a few words can change someone's day.
Melissa, do you have anything to add?
I mean, I'd also say, to piggyback off your idea of immediate, I mean, every single person in this room and everyone that's tuned in right now, I mean, anyone who wants that sense of community and a feeling of impact, that definitely inspires me.
The other David flanking the station over here?
So I try to live in a experience where everything inspires me, right? I would like to be inspired by little things, like simple things, like trees or rocks, right? Just finding inspiration in little things so that we can, I don't know, channel the energy and not have expectations that are so grandiose that we need 3D, interactive, crazy experiences to feel alive. But inspired by passing moments every day.
I love it, Mike. Have you found inspiration from a rock recently?
Oh yes.
Okay, just making sure. Just want to make sure you're truthful. I need one more volunteer. Come on, guys. Oh, like this girl in the aisle right here. Come on. Yes, a female. Let's do this. Show them how it's done, girl. No, you're getting back here. You don't give up. That's not what we do here. Just a little closer. Aim for David's face. Yeah! All right. Okay, panelists. What is the better-known stage name of Robin Fenty? A, Fergie. B, Beyonce. C, Rihanna. Or D, Cher?
Lifeline?
The audience says,
Yeah, Lifeline.
Lifeline.
you guys, wait.
No.
Yeah, she knows.
Red Pants. And the other one.
Isn't it Rihanna?
It's Rihanna, duh. No, I
You're
know.
like, of course it's Rihanna.
I mean, come on. David, you should have had that. You started a business at 7.
I had Simpsons, okay? I got a break.
I mean, I'm impressed with you. See how you learned something new? How inspired you guys today from these guys?
You should be on the panel.
Here's the next question. Let's do this to David over here. How did you get the idea for your business or the inspiration to join your current driven place of work? How did you know it was a good idea?
So first of all, the way that I've sort of stumbled into everything is just like a natural flow. Like it wasn't too much planning, it wasn't too much like overthinking. It just sort of felt like the right next step, and I would step into that, and then the world would show up in beautiful ways. The way that I got the inspiration or the idea of J-Swipe was essentially Tinder. Right, so I moved to New York, the story goes, to meet a nice Jewish girl. I moved to the Upper West Side because I was told that that's where they all lived.
I live on the Upper East Side,
well,
so...
and there, really all of New York. But it was just such a weird experience. And around that time, Tinder came out, which blew up and really disrupted the way that people connect. But there wasn't really anything relevant for millennials who were interested and cared about finding someone Jewish. So great idea, applied it to a niche audience, and executed.
Wow, okay, and Melissa, what about you? Yeah, like what was the idea for like to getting into the business in general? Like what made you want to do what you do?
I would say typically people's sort of career trajectory always has a lot to do with their personal experiences, right? So it's that nature, nurture type of feel where you're a product of your environment at times or the people that you surround yourself with. And so I think always just being generally kind, to David's point, and just really curious, right? And problem solving or finding sort of that path of what feels really authentic to you. And just being open to the experience, right? So for me, I think I had a career in fintech, and I just wanted something a little bit more fulfilling. This idea that you can have a fulfilling 21st century career and do something that motivates you and the people around you. It's sort of working towards a mission much larger than yourself.
Beautifully said. All right, I need another volunteer. Come on, guys. No one? Wait, I see you in the back. You're raising your hand. Get up here. I couldn't tell if it was like a lazy hand or like an affirmative hand. You have a nice hat on. Get up here. Need you to throw. You're a well-dressed individual. Look at this. This is how the youth need to be dressed. Look at this. This is a three-piece suit, basically. Woo! Just, yeah, step like here. David gets scared. Beautiful. That was so he walked away like, no big deal. Oh my God, you're my inspiration. All right, what is the best-selling album of all time in terms of albums sold? You guys are all shaking your heads. A, Adele 21. B, The Beatles' Sgt. Pepper. C, The Eagles, their greatest hits. Or D, Michael Jackson Thriller. Come on, you know what the answer is.
I'm gonna guess it's Michael Jackson.
Correct! Awesome! All right, now you got to take the next question, of course. What is a dream accomplishment for you? And how do you strive for that every single day?
Well, I love helping people and organizations connect the what and the how of what they do with the why. And a dream accomplishment for me is to be able to scale that, to create systems that can do that and reach more and more people.
What does being Jewish mean to you?
Being Jewish. I think what my Judaism instilled in me from a young age was just a sense of being part of something greater, just not operating as an individual in this world, feeling a responsibility to the people around me, not just the Jewish community, but to the world. And something that I shared with you earlier, I was inspired from a very young age by the Jewish maxim, it is not upon you to complete the work, but you are not free to desist from it. So from the youngest age, I always felt that if I saw a problem and I felt like, wow, this is bigger than me, I'm never going to be able to impact it, I would still say to myself, but you're not free to ignore it. You still have to play a part in moving it forward.
Yaron, how would you define your Jewish upbringing and helping you, who you are today?
Yeah, I think my Jewish upbringing can't be simplified into one sentence because it's such an integral part of who I am. But I do think the thing that I reflect on constantly in terms of my Jewish identity is learning community, to Adina's point, and really feeling very much so tied to the future of a people. And I think both as someone who is Jewish, but I think it also taught me how to be part of other communities. So like how I feel as an American or how I feel as a global citizen was very much so informed by this tight-knit Jewish community and the need to look out for one another. And I think there are lots of different values along with that, but that's one that really sticks out.
This is sort of a question for all of you. Do you turn to your Jewish upbringing, your traditions or family for personal support or professional support or both?
I would say both. I mean, for me, it's pretty aligned. About 5 years ago, I was working at some marketing agency doing like big brand marketing. And on the side, for fun, I was helping Jewish organizations with social media. And then I just loved the experience of that and the meaning that I found through those, moments that I aligned what I was doing professionally with what I was doing as a sort of, let's say, a hobby. And it's all in the container of the Jewish experience or the religion. So I've tried to design this alignment where it's both personal and professional.
How about you, Hila?
I would definitely agree. I'm Israeli, so I was born to two parents from Israel and my brother, so I'm first-gen American. But kind of woohoo. Speaking Hebrew at an early age and obviously having this huge connection to Israel my entire life, I think is unique, and I encourage all who've never been to Israel to go and to go with the greenhouse when they go. But I think absolutely both personal and professional. I think to the community that he mentioned, that Yaron mentioned, I think of everything as kind of this Jewish geography web. And I think it's really important. I was lucky, to grow up in a town where there were a lot of Jewish people. I know that's not true for everyone around the country. But I also went to Jewish sleepaway camp, which was an integral part of my upbringing, and had a lot of, I think, mentors and incredible people to kind of look up to. But as I started in the tech world, a lot of Israelis are great engineers and are great builders. It definitely, I think, inherently entrepreneurial. So my first job out of college was for an Israeli entrepreneur and founder, and that kind of catapulted probably where I've ended up.
And what about you, Valerie?
Yeah, same along those lines. I'm a Jewish summer camp kid, and that's where I first found my Jewish identity and also where I found my passion for social justice. And the first time that I spoke about the Validation Project was because my rabbi reached out, and it was like 5 old Jewish ladies. Ethel Rosenberg, if you're watching this, love you.
It's the most Jewish name you could have said, but yes.
And I was terrified. I remember I was like shaking, even though they're like Jewish grandmas. They're the sweetest people ever.
Yeah.
But that's where it started, and that's always where I end up going back to when I am looking for inspiration and collaboration.
You, David?
I think it's super special because kind of like Val, I was also a Jewish camp person. And apparently we went to the same camp when we were younger, but we didn't meet each other until 3 years later. But it's that kind of like what Hila was saying before about that sense of community that you get from Judaism. In a personal level, that was kind of my first real network. I think in business, people always talk about, your network and your brand. And in a Jewish space, you always have that. And you always have that group of people with the Jewish geography that you play. And for me, I was growing up as an entertainer, but it only when I was surrounded by that Jewish community did I feel that sense of confidence that I had. And I was like, I can do something that's so much larger than myself because I know no matter what I do, I have the support of these amazing individuals at my side just because my values always will align with theirs. And I think even if you're in a Jewish space, if you're not in a Jewish space, if you can find that piece of connection between anyone, you're automatically going to feel closer to them. And for me, I know that's propelled my professional and personal career, finding those personal identities and those niches within you that match someone else.
Well said. I wanted to open up to audience questions before we get out of here. But before we do, I wanted to go down to every single one of you. If you could give one sentence, 2 words, whatever you want, of inspiration to just teens out there in general, everyone sitting here, everyone watching, what would it be and why?
So life motto, at least this year, is possibility and abundance, which is basically, to me, it just means that it's all going to be good. No matter what happens, if you can have trust and faith in yourself and the world that it's going to be okay, then everything just shows up more easily for you, or challenges don't seem as scary to you. And so much of life, we're trained or conditioned to live in the world of fear and scarcity, and we process am I good enough, or will I get this, or will I not get this? But if you could just flip the switch to process through possibility and abundance, everything just seems a lot more joyful.
Well said.
I love that. Yeah, on the possibility front, Emily Dickinson has a quote that says, "Dwell in possibility." And I think similarly, positivity is, I think, the best personal dose of something you can give yourself in some way every day, where you're just positive even when days seem not going great. And taking risks on the failure front, just try. There's nothing that can happen if it doesn't work out, but just try.
I think maybe my message would be about how you're always able to do something good even sometimes when you're not thinking of yourself as like a professional do-gooder or someone who's like necessarily within that network. So even if you're thinking you're involved in the Jewish community, I think that there's so many things that can happen internally within our community about being more inclusive towards LGBTQ Jews, towards Jews of color, towards religious versus non-religious Jews. I think there are so many things that you can do on a personal level within your school, within the Jewish community. And then also if you're interested, thinking about your professional career, and as you kind of figure out what you're interested in and the subject you're interested in, there's always a way of doing good with that, regardless of whatever skill or subject area really matches your personality. Having that lens of how can you be doing good, I think is something that's really important to have.
I like that. Yeah. I would say be kind, be curious, be really authentic. And I think that oftentimes the world can seem super overwhelming. We face a lot of challenges, and it's often relative, right? But there are some really, really amazing, innovative, creative people that are doing some fantastic things, and it doesn't matter how old you are, but you really have this opportunity to engage civically and get out there and use your voice. It's valuable. And I would also say, just to, I think your point, just keep trying. There's lots of people who have failed often, and the best thing that you could do is fail fast and just sort of be open to whatever opportunities might come your way.
I'm going to pick up on authenticity. I think everyone that's in here is here because you're a leader and because you're interested in making a difference in this world and making a difference to the people around you. And as you go to things like this and different types of leadership events in your life, you'll often hear people say things to you like, think of a leader who you admire. What do you admire about them? Then try to be like them. I'm going to say the opposite. I'm going to say that I don't always think that that is the best advice to give someone about true leadership. I think the best advice for leadership is to look inside yourself and say, who am I really? What are the moments in life that I'm the most proud of, and how did I show up in those moments? What are the things in life that I would take a risk for, that I would risk a relationship for, that I would risk my reputation for, that I would really put myself on the line for? Figure out what those things are, and then say, this is who I am, this is my fingerprint as a leader, and then be the best version of that leader that you can be.
Awesome.
Amen, yeah.
Especially to the young people out there, but also to everyone watching, as you guys are starting to turn these ideas into awesome things with the help of the greenhouse. A lot of people are going to tell you no, and they're going to tell you that you can't do this, and you have two choices. You can accept that, or you can use their disbelief in you as the fuel to go out there and kick some ass and prove them wrong. And I know that you guys can all do that because you're here, and that's like super cool.
Oh my God, everyone has been taking my answers. No, I'm just kidding. My key kind of piece of advice is beyond just, I think entrepreneurs always think about personal branding and how you're presenting yourself, but my piece of advice in 2 words is know yourself and figure out what you want to be known for and how you want other people to describe you. When you leave a room, it goes beyond a brand. It's about an identity. And figure out what lasting impact you always want to have, and always keep that in mind in how you introduce yourself when meeting new people. Are you a student, or are you someone who brings out the best in those around them? Who do you want to be known as? And then leverage how you introduce yourselves when meeting new people to make sure that identity aligns with the one other assigns to you.
All great advice. I hope you guys are writing all of that down. I would be remiss if I didn't open this up to any Q&A you guys have for our panelists. Yeah, in the back over there.
Hi, actually, this is a question for David in the pink shirt. How do you manage being Jewish in LGBT plus spaces when so many of those spaces are anti-Semitic?
So, David, how do you manage, being in the LGBT community when so many of them are anti-Semitic?
That is an unbelievable question, and I think it's a really important one, and I think you have two different identities. You have your LGBT identity, and you have who you are as a Jewish person. And when you say LGBT identity, that can be an ally. You don't have to necessarily identify as one of those letters. It's LGBTQIA+, and the A can stand for ally. And as long as you're a supportive member of that community, you're in that circle. So I'm talking to every single one of you, hopefully. To address your question, I think we always talk about it in two different spheres, and we can talk about leveraging LGBT identities when people are anti-Semitic, but I guess we could also talk about it in terms of how do you leverage your Jewish identity if people are homophobic. And you can always use the two, and you can keep them very much apart, but I think the secret has always been, for me, to intersect them and find a sense of meaning through open conversations. There are going to be some people who you'll cross paths with, and they'll have their mindsets, and they will never be able to change their mind. You can be as persuasive as you want. You can articulate your beliefs as much as you think, and no matter how convincing you think you are, in the end of the day, there are some people whose gears are going to keep turning, and they're not going to go on and listen to what you're saying. All you have to do is be open, show nothing but kindness, and keep the two, if you're comfortable with it, overlapped, and all the while be an ally to those communities that you can't be a part of. Does anyone else want to add anything to that?
I'm happy to add. I'm also gay Jew. And so, yeah, you're surprised because I answered the 82 sports question correctly. I'm
Put that
kidding.
on your resume.
I know. I'm totally kidding. That was a bad stereotype. But slightly funny, I think. I hear you. I mean, I think what she's specifically referring to is that there have been a couple of LGBTQ spaces that have had anti-Zionist voices inside of them for a while now, and I think that can be really challenging if you're specifically a Jew who is somebody who's a Zionist, which is how I would identify. I think that there are a couple of things. I mean, I think finding really LGBTQ Jewish spaces are really important, and luckily, if you live in New York, we're happy to chat afterwards. There are a lot of really wonderful organizations that are doing work. I also think that it's about like bringing your progressiveness to bear and not necessarily like letting them define what the progressive movement looks like. And I think specifically in conversations around Israel, I think it's complicated because it is gray, it's not black and white, and you might feel strongly about certain aspects of Israeli society that you find challenging, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you need to let them define it in this black and white term. And so I think leaning into David's point, I think leaning into the conversation will serve you a lot more. And obviously, if something's like completely anti-Semitic, I wouldn't choose to engage in it. But I do think that if you can lean in and create LGBT spaces and queer spaces in general that are friendly to Jews, which has been my personal experience, I would recommend that, but happy to chat personally
I have
after.
one thing. I'm also a gay Jew.
Me too. Here we go.
Everybody's a little gay. But my answer would be the fact that you're up there and you're asking a question and you're at Facebook on a school night, like you're halfway through, you're rocking it. If there's something that's fueling your fire, if there's a problem that you're seeing in these two communities that you're so passionate about being a part of, you have this amazing platform to propose a solution and to work with the people next to you and across from you how to do that. So don't let the people that are telling you that you shouldn't be proud deter the way that you're going to solve that issue.
Love it. Any other questions, guys? Yes.
My name is Joan, and since I think all of us are in high school, or
The maturity of high schoolers, right? Yes.
and many are probably college seniors waiting for college decisions, what is one thing you regret not doing / one thing you wish you knew when you were this age that would be beneficial for us to know?
Great question. What is one thing you guys sort of wish you had known back then? And David's thinking. It's not that long ago, sweetie.
I have a good one. I know. He has.
Come on, David.
It's close to him. I'm
Yeah.
gonna
Thank
go
you.
back a little. No, you should answer it too. But I think for me, I think it's incredible that there are things like this at your fingertips. I think, I saw it. I grew up dancing. I was very involved in extracurriculars, but I wouldn't say I had something like this that was so, to me, just progressive and open. That was looking at things from a very just unfiltered, inclusive, and just social impact lens. I think there's so many things, and I know resume and career building is so important, but everyone's kind of, I don't want to say shoving down your throat, but saying what are you adding, what are you doing, and you have things that are already prescribed in school. I think it's so cool that you have opportunities to travel and try things that you just wouldn't do otherwise. And I think, as Rebecca said when she started, they're really looking to you to help define that. I think that's the incredible power of some of what the greenhouse is offering. I wish I had something like that, even though I feel like I did a lot of cool things, but take advantage of it and tell all your friends to take advantage of it.
I have one, which is I feel like going through school, it's very easy to get swept into the current of what people are supposed to be doing, or like the paths, or you should do this or that type of job, and that's gonna make you the more money or whatever. But having the courage and just standing in like the power of who and what you are, what you care about, and building a life around following that, follow your bliss, quote unquote. But the idea of like build a life around what you want to be experiencing every day, not what people think for you should be or would be or should be doing. Follow whatever it is that makes you the happiest, and everything else will sort of show up beautifully.
Well said. You want to add to that, young David?
Yeah, I'll say something.
Yeah, say something.
When I was in high school, I was applying to colleges, and I knew I wanted to do marketing. I said, I want to go to a school that has a business school, that has a marketing program. What I'm going to say, and I'm completely happy with my decision, let that be very clear, I want you to know, and I think what I would keep in mind is uncertainty is okay. And it's okay to not be super focused on one thing, because there are going to be people around you, just like David was saying. They're going to know what they want, and you're going to want to be swept in the current of, oh, they know what they're doing, I have to figure out what I'm doing. And you might like fake know what you're doing, but you don't have to. That uncertainty is okay. And so have those conversations with people about just everything. Learn from your teachers. And I think my other piece of advice, uncertainty is okay. Continue having those conversations and stay in touch with the people who are really touching you in high school, touching your lives. I want to be clear. Ooh, that would have been bad.
Thank you for clarifying that one.
Absolutely.
Appreciate that.
Different conversation. But if there's a teacher who's really impacting you profoundly, tell them. They're never going to know if like you go home every day and you're just thinking, oh my God, Miss Wallace is the best. If you're watching Mrs. Wallace, changed my life. Thank you for helping me become a writer. But it's these things, and don't let those compliments go unsaid. Just say them and stay in touch. I think uncertainty is okay. Stay in touch with those people.
I'll add to that. I think when I'm just thinking back to when I was in college, I would sort of bifurcate my time between when I'm learning, I was a philosophy major, when I'm being really academic and cerebral and learning, and then when I'm not learning. And what I've learned over time that I wish I was a little bit more intentional about back then is that every moment of your life, every hour of your life is the classroom, sometimes even more when you're not in the classroom. And so especially when you're in college and you're having all of these experiences, you're talking to somebody, you get into an interesting conversation, you have an argument with your roommate, you have a really bad experience, you have an embarrassing experience, stop yourself and say, I am in the classroom. What can I learn that is going to help me build my character?
Great question. I want to end on that. I want to thank all my panelists for coming up here. My panelists. I own you. Yes, thank you guys so much for coming. We're going to break right now so you guys can enjoy the free swag. We got this poetry master back there. Shout out to him. Some food. It's going to be great. I'm going to hand it off to Rebecca. Thank you guys so much for being here. And good luck in everyone's future.
Woo! Another round of applause. Thank you so much. You guys, this is a really impressive, accomplished group of Jewish leaders who work across different sectors, different industries, but who are all committed both to thinking about how their Jewish identity and community is an asset to them as they're thinking continuously about who and what they want to be, and also the fact that they're working in some instances within the Jewish community, either full-time or part-time. And so I think it's just phenomenal. I'm so honored that we had such an impressive array of folks. Please, I know the panelists are going to, I think, stick around. So take the opportunity to go introduce yourself to one of them. You never know. Some of them might be looking for interns, or you might be interested in building your own app and want to talk to this guy, or, use them. This is a rare opportunity. So the rest of the night, we're going to be introducing DJ Malcolm. He's going to be coming up. I'd love to dance with everybody. We have our photo booth in the back that are producing gifts. Take as many as you want. Eat more food. And lastly, we have an amazing poet in the back corner. Lynn, can you raise your hand? Yeah. All right. So Lynn has this amazing talent where he writes poems completely on the spot. All right. He works at all different kinds of spaces, weddings, corporate spaces, social venture spaces. Go give him a word, tell him a little about you, as much or little as you want and see what he produces for you. We're going to be sharing all the poems that come out throughout the rest of the night. And don't forget, when you leave around 8:30, there is an awesome bag of giveaways. So you're going to grab a bag that has a bunch of cool stuff in it, and you're going to grab up to 2 t-shirts, one Facebook tee and one hot off the press greenhouse tee. And we're going to be rolling out a whole marketplace of interesting, provocative, inspiring greenhouse swag. So grab your first tonight. Thank you.
What do you think is going to be the most talked about social innovation of the next year? J-Swipe.
Such a great question. I think, are you familiar with HQ, the new app?
Please, as a game show fan, huge.
So even though like lots of people talk about AR, VR, all these, but that's cool and it's coming, but it's not yet of wide stream.
Right.
I think that through HQ we're experiencing the first of a new wave of possibility, which is in your pocket, connected, integrated, interactive stream experience. So it's like the evolution of live or stories, where it's like one-way broadcast with the ability to maybe comment or like. This is now literally interacting and engaging and shifting. If you think about when we grew up, watching game shows, we were all spectators. But now that 2 million people on 3 p.m. on a Sunday can be engagers is wild. So how creative people take that and sort of spread that thought process across all different spaces and use cases, I think is going to be very exciting. At least it's what I'm most excited about.
I'm here with Valerie Weisser from the Validation Project, who is the most accomplished young person ever, maybe? That's pretty big. Tell us a little about the Validation Project.
So I started the Validation Project when I was 14 years old.
Exactly.
And now it's an international organization, and we work with around 6,000 teenagers in 105 countries, and we provide them with social justice assignments and mentoring to make their ideas into solutions for different problems. I think success is being able to look at the people around you and know that they're people that push you to think bigger and solve issues, and you can talk to them about social justice and things you're passionate about.
Who inspires you the most? If you could emulate anybody, who would it be? Who do you look up to?
My mom. She grew up in Brooklyn, and her grandma was a Holocaust survivor.
Wow.
And she raised me with this idea of like looking at each situation with how can you fix this and how can you be a part of something bigger than yourself.
What makes social innovation Jewish?
Social innovation is Jewish in the meaning. I think if you go back to the person who's doing it and you really think deep about where it came from, because the necessary result of everything doesn't have to be benefiting the Jewish community. Yet if the values that you're getting and that you are instilled in you, and that's what you're trying to put out in the world, if you get that from a Jewish place, then that makes social innovation Jewish, if you have that from your roots.
And how did your Jewish upbringing inspire you to do what you're doing now?
Oh, well, my Jewish upbringing, the one thing that I got from it, the best of all, was community. That was the one thing that has been emphasized since I was a very, very small child. And so no matter where I've gone, I've always tried to build that sense of community, both in myself and in the people that I surround myself with. But then if I don't find that sense of community, or if there's something off about it, I always make it my mission to make sure I get that sense of inclusion that I have always felt from day one through my Jewish values.
Define social innovation for me. That's kind of why we're here today, and everyone is involved in social innovation. What is that to you?
I think it speaks to the change makers, people that are driving positive impact, whether that's socially, whether that's environmentally, whether that has to do with government. It can mean so many different things, but I think it's that element of change and moving towards a direction that's positive for the well-being of everyone, really.
What do you consider success?
Lessons learned. I'd say anything that can even be deemed as a typical failure, if you can walk away learning something new and having it change the way that you see the world, it's still a positive thing.
And how do you think technology has sort of changed social innovation?
I mean, we have so much knowledge right at our fingertips, and it really is sort of this view of globalization, right? So you have all of these access points and ways that we can connect with each other like we never did before. And so I think that if we can have that visibility and be able to scale that to people who need it, people who want it, it brings everyone sort of together.
You're an executive coach, right? What is your mission as an executive coach?
I do executive coaching and organizational consulting, and my mission is to connect people and constellations of people to their purpose, to the power that they have, their talents that they have, and to empower them to do amazing things.
Well, considering you're sort of a professional problem solver, when a problem arises or you've had a bad day, what's the first thing you think of? How do you problem solve? What are the steps you go through?
The first thing I do is I first frame the problem. One of the biggest challenges with problem solving is that what we call the problem sometimes isn't what it actually is. So we want to stop ourselves
Reframe
before we even dive in, and then break it up into manageable pieces.
How would you define social innovation?
Define social innovation.
It's a test. You have to get it right. I have the Webster
How many
Dictionary
seconds
right over
do I
there.
have? I would define social innovation as creating new approaches to long-standing social challenges.
You really are streamlining this whole event today. Why are we all here? Tell us what's happening today.
Well, you know, here at Facebook, our mission is give people the power to build community and bring the world closer together. And so that's why we're here. We believe that teens, when given the tools to build community among their peers, can actually change the world for the better. And so that's why we're here.
I was really excited to hear about Facebook's new mission, and we were introduced through a colleague of mine, and I was lucky enough to connect with Nona, and I shared with her sort of my vision for what the greenhouse is all about, which is empowering the next generation of Jewish social innovators and game changers who can build some of the best new solutions for addressing the world's most pressing social challenges. And of course, part of that means doing that digitally, because as we know, the teens today are our first digitally native generation, which means that they do not know a world that does not have technology in it. And so it was really exciting to partner with Nona to think about how we could use the Facebook group platform to recruit new Jewish teens and their friends who are excited about actually building their own products or services to address a social challenge in their community or somewhere else around the world. And that's kind of how the marriage was made.
What do you do when you're looking for inspiration?
You know, I got to be honest, and this may seem a little cliche in this context, but inspiration for me really does come from young people because they have just the ability to envision the world as it should be and could be. And I think sometimes as adults, we get jaded by what we see and what we know and what we experience. And we think that what has happened is all that could be. Whereas young people have never seen that. And so they're like, well, I don't know why this is this way. Why don't we do it differently? And so that's inspiring to me is when I come across young people who are like, you know what, this is wrong, let's fix it. I don't care if this didn't work before, we're going to try it again, because that's the type of optimism we need in the world.
How excited is Coalition to be partnering with Greenhouse today?
We're extremely excited. So I've known
Better
Rebecca
be.
for a long time, and I think it's a pretty incredible initiative and challenge that she's been tasked with and that is trying to accomplish. And I think empowering young teens to just think differently and approach the world with a social impact lens is incredibly inspiring.
What do you think makes social innovation Jewish?
So, full transparency, I'm Israeli. I was born to two Israeli parents, so Hebrew is actually my first language. I was born in the US, but spent a great part of my childhood going back and forth between here and Israel and Haifa and Tel Aviv. And I think Judaism has this incredible tradition. I personally am not very religious, but I am very culturally attached, obviously by language, but also by the community, the Jewish community. And I think when I look at my upbringing, you know, I grew up in a relatively Jewish town outside of the Boston area and had my Israeli family, but I also went to sleepaway camp and was very involved when I look at my career and college in a lot of organizations like Hillel and like Camp Pembroke and all these things that just had incredible Jewish mentors, Jewish leaders that I think definitely shaped kind of what I went into. And weirdly, my first job out of college was a live streaming company. You know, Israel is a big tech startup nation, and our founder was an Israeli investor and entrepreneur that decided to fund, you know, a cool new